better maintaining our infrastructure so we can reduce / eliminate power outages in towns. And if we can eliminate them, we can get power restored in a reasonable amount of time, and the resources are in place to do that. So they are a large bureaucracy, as everybody on this call knows. And I think the persistent interaction with them will hopefully yield some positive results so we can give the residents at the end of the day a better support and service from our utility provider. And that's all I have that was of any significance. Many questions?
Yeah, I mean, I had a question about JCP&L. We know that there's some DOJ investigation going on with their parent company, First Energy. And there are potential ramifications as a result of that. In fact, one of our residents, Kinji, sent us information on that as well. So there are two big issues from what I see. The expansion of the DOJ investigation, which could hurt which could hurt JCP&L monetarily. And the second one is an HR 6 bill in Ohio, where if that gets repealed, First Energy won't be able to charge Ohio customers. And as a result, we'll have to decouple their nuclear subsidiaries there, which means they'll be entirely reliant on revenues from subsidiaries outside Ohio, which means JCP&L. So is there a way we could get the mayors of Monmouth County together and talk about this issue and see what else we can do?
I think potentially, because there are a lot of mayors on when JCP&L holds calls who have expressed great dissatisfaction. One of the challenges issues you just brought up brings a challenge to what we may be faced with JCP&L. Their plan for the future is implementing smart meters. And what smart meters does is it allows JCP&L to do what I think PSE&G has been doing for years, is basically start charging different rates based on usage. So let's say from 2 to 4 in the morning when usage is very light, if you could run your washing machine or dishwasher during those times, you can potentially save money because you're using it on off-peak hours. Helps them manage their infrastructure. It also gives an ability to see into each of our homes who has power, who doesn't. So immediately when an outage occurs or a storm rips through our town, they'll know that potentially every house on my street is without power, but adjacent streets, going down Route 34 or across the road still have power. So they can better isolate and know exactly who has it, who doesn't, and that plan is a very costly endeavor, and it's going to kick off with installations starting in 2023, and they said they're going to be finished by 2026. So, yeah, I was hoping it would be 2021 implementation, but they are still in their, I guess, planning and design phase from an engineering perspective of how they're going to do it. So they are investing. It is in the future, and that doesn't do us any good for the next few years. And we don't even know if we're going to be in the 2023 implementation or we're going to be at the end towards the 2026. So we could be, potentially 4 to 5 years out before that technology actually hits our home. So in the meantime, what could they do to better manage their infrastructure and help our residents when they don't have power? It's not so much the short-term ones, but as I mentioned previously, we've had residents who, based on their medical situations, require electricity for various medical apparatus that helps them breathe. And they need to have a definitive timeline of not a global ETR of, hey, JCP&L says a week from now, we're gonna have everybody back on. That doesn't tell me anything. That just means they hope to have, in a week from now, the majority of the customers back on. But what about, me? What about you? Like, and I have a loved one living with me who needs that type of equipment. So do I need to pick up and move them out and find another place to live for the next week or so while this takes place? And they're just, I think, admittedly so, they do a bad job in sharing information and giving us updates. Sharon?
They did admit it. Yes, they admitted it. And they assured us that they are going to work on doing a better job of that in the interim until they get these meters in. That's what they have assured us. We will keep on them.
So I have two questions. So on the smart meter plan, that's going to take a long time to install a meter in every house. But if you look at what happens when a storm goes through, it's not the homes, it's all these electrical poles that fall down, right? So, and there are a lot fewer electrical poles than homes in our town. So why don't they install the smart meter on the poles? Because if the power goes out, they'll know which pole it is instead of which home it is.
Because the purpose of the smart meters isn't just to know who's out of power.
No, they want to just find out how you use
And what those smart meters also do is they'll cycle your appliances, and they can cause burnout on your appliances as well. So it's not as great as it sounds. And it allows them to control how much electricity you get and when as well.
Right.
So that's their objective. It's not about just knowing when the pole goes down or there's no power.
Right. It's not about service. So I don't think the smart meter idea is a smart idea in the first place. So I think it may be better if they put meters or some monitoring devices on the poles to see if a pole goes down, that they're alerted, because that's truly service. So that's number one. Number two, how are we going? I mean, what would be the impact from this cooperative plan that we agreed to with Red Bank? I mean, would we then be purchasing more electricity from can you give me an update on the cooperative?
I'm happy to. So we're at the very, very beginning stages of that. We just sent over the approved resolution to Red Bank. But the service provider would still be JCP&L. Your bill would still come from JCP&L. It's just the actual energy comes from a different source. Right now it's that source comes through JCP&L too. So for the vast majority of people, your bill won't look very much different. And unfortunately at this stage, JCP&L is still the provider. It gets the energy from where it's created to our homes. And we don't have an option on that one.
Also, an important note, a significant amount of the investment they touted in 2018 for infrastructure improvement, a lot of that generated around forestry and better reducing trees and branches in the right of ways to hopefully prevent outages based on trees or limbs falling off those trees. So the one takeaway that we got, I guess last week from them, was they are pushing up our next forestry review and work a year earlier. So rather than being in 2023, they're going to do it again in 2021. And I think they did it in 2018 or 2019. Yeah. So it was supposed to be further out. They're pulling it closer to us. They said that's going to help. I was looking for more meteor of pole improvements or resources they could deploy that could tell them exactly, where that pole went down, where the wire's down, where the tree's down, so they can better respond to those and fix those things, Prakash, almost like you're saying. And we're going to get more tree trimming as the investments from them. That's kind of where they are. I'm not sure if that's window dressing or that's substantial, but it certainly hasn't prevented any outages from continuing to occur even after they did their significant forestry work here.
Yep, I agree. I mean, even if they trim the trees, if a tree, the tree is going to stand there, and if it falls on a pole, that's it. So I think it'd be better if we can figure out a way, or at least they figure out a way to monitor these poles and know how many poles are out. Because if a pole's out, the street's out, or at least part of the street is out.
100%. Cool. That's all I had. Carrie, if there's nothing else, you could open up for any public comment.
The first public comment is James Yanello.
Good evening, everyone. Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. Mayor Bontempo, as I've said many times over the past several decades, JCP&L has dividended up a lot of money to First Energy, and that was in times when First Energy was doing well. As you can see with any Google search in the headlines, the reality of what a cesspool First Energy is now out there everywhere. The CEO has been fired. There's been criminal investigations. The BPU up there is under investigation, and all of the rating agencies have cut it to junk, and their stock is plunging. So now the parent company, which is a cesspool, is going to be under significant financial duress. So my concern with these wonderful smart meters and some of these other investments they may make, and I agree with Prakash, I see little benefit to reliability or storm response from them. They know whole sections are out of power, and it still could take up to 5 days for them to get to us. My concern now is there's going to be greater pressure on JCP&L to skimp over time or to attempt to dividend money back up to now a severely wounded cesspool parent. So I think we really need to be have a critical eye here. We maybe should hire a professional consultant if it doesn't cost that much to really get on top of this. The BPU is in way over their heads. They're enamored by green. They're going to want these smart meters. One could argue maybe our BPU at New Jersey should be investigated the way some of the other BPUs associated with this company are, the way they've allowed them to pass on rates. Despite this recent storm and the abysmal performance, they allowed another rate increase recently. So I really think we need to continue to get together with the other mayors and have this company held to task. This is a disaster. Chart the stock. It's a disaster and a mess. And I'm afraid the cost of this disaster is going to indirectly be borne by us and other residents in this area, because again, the New Jersey BPU is way in over their heads, or they're on the take like the other BPUs associated with this company. The other thing I'd like to say tonight is about twice a year, I comment on deer. So here it comes, but this is a new angle. I know it's rut season, but I had a very candidly scary incident last week on my front lawn, picking up sticks, adjusting some leaves, and a buck was kind of trotting by, caught my eye, and I'm like, oh, there's a buck. And long story short, he started to engage me and literally looked like he was going to come after me. And I went in the house right near, I was near the front door. I got a black umbrella and I came out and I candidly scared the F out of it, and it ran away with the black umbrella, which I highly recommend. I went online, I did some research. Sure enough, there's a lot of stories in November in particular, where people are attacked, some gored, and some have been killed by bucks when they haven't engaged them at all. And I think not only do we play often Russian roulette on our roads with these deer that are starting to overwhelm this town, I think we could literally have an incident where someone is severely injured and or killed by bucks if they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. I know my good friend Carol Balmer is probably flipping out if she's on the phone right now, because she's a great friend of deer. I think, again, we need to seriously engage Monmouth County and push to do something to control this deer population. It's only a matter of time before someone is severely hurt or killed by them.
No, thank you. I just want to make a comment on your first statement about the BPU. When I was testifying in Trenton, and Sharon could jump in and tell me if she interpreted the same way. The first person who spoke at the testimony, I didn't know who he was, but he spoke in great support of the utilities during the storm and all the things they did. I said, holy cow, they brought in either a PR guy or one of their executives to talk about, here's everything we did. This is why we're great. Guess who it was? The head of our BPU. He was there talking about how great they were. And everybody after him, which I think started with the mayor of Marlborough, was the complete opposite. I mean, no one was even close to. I'm saying, if this guy is really the BPU and he's supposed to be looking out for the taxpayer, right? The taxpayer advocate. I was blown away. It was almost like I wrote, or the energy companies wrote his remarks. Sharon, accurate?
100%.
That's what we're dealing with in New Jersey. Just to kind of set expectation. I think Mr. Nell kind of pointed on that, but I wanted to bring it out to everyone's attention. That's literally who we have in Trenton representing us. So it's got to be, Prakash, I think it's got to be a ground roots effort to try to get any movement done.
Right. And there's also a pretty good chance that they may be in significant financial duress if the HR 6 is repealed. So
absolutely,
we may have a chance to potentially get all the towns together to see if we can do a buyout, make it a co-op.
Yeah. We'll soon see.
Yeah.
Carrie, anybody else in queue?
The next public comment is Sarah Faisal.
Hi, can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Sarah Faisal. 26 Wildhead Lane is my address. Yeah, so I usually speak at these meetings all the time. You probably know me by my name, but I just wanted to ask Mayor Bontempo. I actually emailed you a couple of days back and just followed up with your email. So I just wanted to let you know that if you got an email from sarahfaisal4@gmail.com, if you could respond to that anytime soon, that I'd really appreciate it. I was actually asking about being able to schedule like an individual meeting with you. I know you're not meeting with people in person, so I was wondering if like a Zoom meeting would be okay. That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you and have a great night.
Okay, thank you. Carrie, anybody else in queue?
There are no other hands up at this time, Mayor.
Could I make a quick comment on Mr. Yanello's question about deer management? We just discussed this at the exec meeting, so I'm planning to look into what plans does Monmouth County have for deer management and see where it goes. Just so you know, I'm looking into that.
Yep. Cool. And you'll update us going forward on upcoming meetings.
Hopefully going to send all the deer to Colston.
I didn't say that.
Did birth control for their deer, just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm open to that.
Carrie, just one more check. Anybody else in queue?
No other hands up at this time, Mayor.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn or close? Excuse me, close public portion.
Second.
Okay. Anything else from the Township Committee for this evening?
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Stay safe.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Stay safe and stay small gatherings and wear your masks, right? We'll get through this, people.
Throw it away.
The positivity rate is pretty high up there, so be
Be
careful.
safe and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Adios.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody. Happy
Night,
Thanksgiving.
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.